So Brant Hill and I have been friends since at least 2007, and we actually met through Facebook. And not only since 2007 have we become really good friends, but Brant has also become my primary hunting partner.
Well, Brad and I have hunted all over the country the last few years. Wyoming, Texas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, and Kentucky. We've had a lot of fun, made a lot of memories, but we haven't killed a lot of critters.
Well, Brant and I have actually hunted Kentucky before with our staffers, Brandon Riley and Jonathan Stinson, and this past year they invited us back to come hunting for their gun opener.
I've been in a little bit of a slump the last couple of years. Matter of fact, it's been 2 years since I've taken a buck. I'm hoping on this trip in Kentucky my luck will change, and for me, Brad has offered to run the camera until I get to punch my tag.
It's opening morning, Kentucky rifle season. Pulled in town last night after about 9 hours in the car. Went straight to the church for their wild game dinner. Got a pretty good night's sleep. The sun's just started coming up. Had deer all over this morning. Bucks are cruising, does are cruising. Cold and crisp. I got a doe out in front of us right now. Beautiful country. Couldn't ask for a better place to be right now in the whitetail woods of Kentucky. I just want to clarify that we don't drive a car. We drive a pickup.
Well, it is definitely on in Kentucky. I mean, we got deer running all over the place. Bucks are chasing, and these Kentucky boys have us in a great spot, so we know it's only gonna be a matter of time.
I would definitely say the rut is on. Holy cow. That was crazy. I mean, deer, that buck was getting it right there. You can see the steam coming up that. Yeah, they're still right here. That's pretty awesome. That's awesome.
We had a great encounter with a double main beam buck. After viewing him, we decided he was a little bit too young. We'd give him another year, let him walk today, and hopefully next year he'll turn into a really big stud.
I think that's a young deer. What do you think? Man, I don't know. He's cool. He's double main being cool. We're hopeful something will lock out this morning or this afternoon. Everything says it should be a good day. It's cold.
Well, this time of year, if you see a big mature doe by herself, it usually means that there's a big buck not far behind, and me and Brant have a big doe that's just come out in the field, and we think in just a few minutes, we might have that big buck that we're after out in the field with her.
This buck is no doubt a shooter. All we need for him to do is turn, give me a shot. And we wait, and wait, and wait. And he never follows the doe out in the field. He turns and walks away.
There you go. Take it.
Well, Well, it's hard to believe we didn't get that buck down in Kentucky, but sometimes that's how it goes. But Brant's extra motivated now, and he's heading to West Texas, hoping to get it done with his Mathews.
This property in Texas is thick and woolly. It's got a lot of big deer and a lot of sand burs or grass burs. I've got my Mathews bow dialed in. I'm gonna get some buck blitz poured out and hope one of these big mature bucks will give me a shot.
I've got rubs, scrapes. This is completely new territory for me. I'm used to hunting Midwest, Arkansas, Eastern Oklahoma, Central Oklahoma, areas where it's more confined. I mean, we hunt out west, but it's mainly muzzleloader rifle. So you're catching them coming to and from the food source. Well, we're trying to squeeze down a deer on 3,000 acres, coming to a food source that's a mile and a half long. That becomes more difficult. So we're trying to pattern these deer.
These does are hammering that buck blitz. These does are getting nervous. It looks like something's coming. Big buck coming, big buck, sure buck.
When this buck stepped out, I knew he was a shooter buck. And after my 2-year dry spell, I knew I was gonna take a shot at him.
Big buck coming, big buck, sure buck.
When this buck stepped out, I knew he was a shooter buck. And after my 2-year dry spell, I knew I was gonna take a shot at him.
And buck blitz did the trick. I poured that out 2 nights ago. Set on it last night, got footage of a doe. Had a couple little deer come through. Poured a little bit more out today, maybe 15 pounds. And they're really going through it. They're loving it. And my gosh, proof's in the pudding. And I got 3,000 acres and I set up in one spot. And you know, more or less 2 evening sets. I just shoot maybe the oldest deer I've ever killed in my life. Probably one of the most mature bucks I've ever killed. So I'm gonna get everything shut off. I'm gonna breathe for a minute, drink a bottle of water. We're gonna give this deer some time to expire. Obviously, this is the highest scoring deer I've ever killed, but maybe the biggest, most mature deer I've ever killed in my life. And I am super thankful for it. The whole group of guys, we've had fun today. We've laughed the last couple of days. You know, we hunted 2 nights and the buck blitz brought him in, but absolutely good time. More good times to come. We got a couple more days of hunting left to do. You couldn't ask for a better experience.
You know, Texas has been great to us over the years, and pro staffer Paul Powers has some great ground in the Texas Panhandle, and he's hoping it'll produce for him as well.
Grew up in western Oklahoma, right on the Texas line. I got access to some property right across the line, just a couple of miles, 8, 9 miles from my dad's house. It hadn't been hunted in years, and we knew there were some really good bucks in that area. So my dad and I were just super excited to get in there and give it an opportunity with big, old, mature deer that we knew would be in there. because they had no pressure, nowhere around had been hunted. We knew there were going to be some really good, mature, big bucks in that area. Never been in that property personally on foot, so season rolls around and we kind of slide out there. Really, no intentions, no for sure idea where we were going to go. We slid out there, find a little rise in that sand hill, kicked the stickers out of the way, they're everywhere, set our lawn chairs up, got tucked in some sagebrush, had a great view spot, we could see a long ways, knew there was a great opportunity that a mature buck would be in that area. Had Big John with me running camera, super excited that day because I knew there was a good chance it might happen.
It's early November, first day of Texas rifle season. Got a Texas tag and we slid over here into the Texas panhandle. And we've been watching these bucks on camera for a month or so. There's about 3 of them in here that we were interested in. Old mature sandhill bucks. Let's see if we can make it happen with the old 7 mag and vortex scope. Should be good. Hunted here this morning. It was real foggy. Had a nice 10 point. It was real foggy. We couldn't see very far, so we didn't stay long. It's still cloudy and wet today. Rain's supposed to come in tonight. Should be pretty good.
We were sitting there, the sun was on its way down, it was just getting to be a beautiful evening, early November. There was rut activity. I knew any time would get a chance, and when I looked up away, I saw a buck. He was just passing. I knew he had a lot of horns, but normally I have cameras everywhere and I know every deer in a pasture. I didn't know this deer, hadn't had enough time to scout it. So my dad and I knew he looked like a nice buck, but we didn't know how nice, we don't know how mature. So we watched this deer a long time and debated, trying to decide if he was going to be a legitimate shooter or not. So yeah, we watched this buck, and he came out on that ridge, and we were able to watch him longer and longer. I had my vortex binocs. It became quite obvious by the deer activity around him that he was the mature dog in the area. You know, several little bucks would stand off to the edge. The does would give him his space. He was kind of ruling the roost on that ridge. It became quite obvious the longer we watched that we were borderline crazy for questioning ourselves on this deer. Just a big, solid, mature buck, and the way everyone around him acted from a deer standpoint, you knew that he was the top dog in the area.
A little further than I like to try him. Most time I can get him closer than that, but he just wouldn't come. There's a doe south of him. He just wouldn't come. The bullet hit him. I heard it hit him. Or hit something. But he's about a little over 200 yards, shooting a 7 Magnus Vortex scope. I felt good about it. Had my shooting sticks. I felt good about it.
Put it on him. He didn't make it. 50 yards. Just a big old West Texas bruiser. 9-pointer. Big old 8-point, dark chocolate rack heavy. Got a kicker off the G2 here. Just a big old stud of a buck. Big old body buck. Big old bruiser.
So Brant and Paul laid down 2 really good bucks in the Texas Panhandle. And if you've never been to the Texas Panhandle and experienced all the sandburs that are out there, you really don't know what you're missing. So the sandy soil is perfect for growing these sandburs, and it doesn't take them long to spread out all over a pasture and choke out all the other grasses along the way. In Matthew 13, Jesus tells us the parable about the sower, and he talks about a farmer casting seed, and he talks about how some of the seed fell on rocky soil and it was eaten, and how some of it landed in the rocks and didn't grow down roots, and some of it actually landed around the thorns, and it never was able to grow to be what it could be because it was choked out by these other plants. But he talks about some seeds that made it on good, fertile soil and produced an incredible crop. In verse 22, Jesus talks about the seed that falls by the thorns, and he explains that it's like somebody who hears the truth from God, hears it, but doesn't take it to heart and focuses on the things of the world like money and fame and status, and it allows that seed to just become unfruitful. But that seed that falls on that fertile soil produces an incredible crop. So the question for us today is, which are we? What soil are we? When God speaks to us, does that soil take root and grow into something incredible? Or are you like the seed that falls by the thorns that gets choked out by the things of the world because you're chasing money and possessions and things and status? Which soil are you? Which heart do you have? So today, maybe you're chasing after the things of the world over the things of God. Maybe that's the issue. You're pursuing the wrong things, and maybe today God's spoken to you about maybe rearranging some things in your life so your heart can be that fertile soil. If we can help you in any way on your walk with the Lord, go to our website, send us a message, go to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, shoot us a message there. We want to help you grow in your relationship with Christ. We hope you've enjoyed this week's episode, and we'll see you next week.